So, Rhea, today we will talk about e-marketplaces. Why should we consider virtual marketplaces as one of our main channel? Because most of SMEs, they usually forget about virtual marketplaces. So please, at the beginning, tell us more about yourself, about your story, and how you decide to go online to swift to have the shift of the career and the business and start your e-commerce business and become entrepreneur.
Sure. So as I told you, I'm the founder of an online gifting service in Lebanon, where actually customers can create an online gifting registry and share it with their family and friends so they can get the gift that they really need. And we also allow for our customers to contribute online to offer a common valuable gift. And actually, I decided to go online out of a personal need with my kids who used to receive plenty of unnecessary gifts. And that's why I decided to create an online registry service to make gifting more useful and valuable. And as you know, given the fact that it's about an online registry and we want it to be useful, so the customer may need to add different products from different vendors and stores. And this is why we actually decided to create an e-commerce marketplace instead of a regular e-commerce website.
Yeah, actually, it is very interesting to know how to do it and how to be successful. So, given your hands-on experience with marketplaces, can you please tell us more details and what is exactly a marketplace? And why should we, as a business owner, consider marketplace to sell our products and or services? Because many SMEs, they think that marketplace it's only for products. So actually, as we know, we have a lot of marketplaces specialized in services as well.
True. Okay, so if you allow me to share my screen first, this way we can go over some slides. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So as you may know, we actually have 4 main ways for selling online. You can either go through your e-commerce website or go through online marketplaces. You can also use your social media channels and your chat apps, okay? So for e-marketplaces, the e-marketer accounts for, it's projecting that around 50% of all worldwide B2C e-commerce sales in the next few years will happen over e-marketplaces. So what is a marketplace exactly? So it's an online platform where buyers and third-party sellers can conduct e-commerce, okay? So you can see it as a modern way of our traditional bricks and mortar department stores. Instead of going to a physical department store, you would go to an online marketplace, like for instance, Amazon. So the marketplace will connect millions of buyers with sellers around the world. It will help you as a business to increase your visibility for your products or your services. And you can list actually multiple, the marketplace will list multiple vendors. And this way you can have a kind of a mini store on the marketplace. So these third-party companies will be able to sell their services to consumers. So this will be a B2C or to businesses. So we have also B2b marketplaces. And all online transactions will be processed through the marketplace itself. So as a seller, you won't need to think about the payment gateway or any other service related to the customer order journey. Sellers in a marketplace will have then the opportunity to showcase their products and services to a large target of audience, and buyers, your customers, will have the opportunity to browse through numerous products from various sellers. They can compare the prices, they can have access to different locations, and all happens under the same platform. Now, what is not a marketplace, on the other hand, is For instance, a company website that is selling its own brands. Let's assume apple.com. Apple.com is not a marketplace. Or assuming that your supermarket today decided to go online, like for instance, Walmart.com. If it starts to sell online, it doesn't mean that it is now a marketplace, even though it will be selling different brands. And if an online store is selling multiple brands, like Aces, for example, .com, this also doesn't mean that it's yet a marketplace. For a platform to be considered as a marketplace, it needs to have a facility for third-party individuals and businesses to register and sell. So that is it for the definition of the marketplace. You can hear me, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So Rhea, as a business owner, for me today, what are the advantages and challenges to start using marketplace? How to start my journey? Can you please advise us and tell us more details?
Sure. It's not an easy journey, definitely. Now, when considering e-marketplaces, there are lots of advantages. I would use it when I want to, for example, do some market research to assess the demand and the popularity of my products. If I want to test a new product or a new service, I want to launch it. If today I sell through my own website and I want to scale up my online sales, I would also consider going into a marketplace. It will be for me a way to diversify actually my sales channel, to enter a new market potentially. And it's very beneficial, especially if you don't have a budget to develop a fully functional e-commerce website. Yes?
We are not seeing your slides.
Oh, okay. Let me share again then. 1 second. Does it work now?
Yes, can you
hear me?
Yes.
If I go down, can you see my screen?
Now, yes.
Okay, great. So what are the advantages for me as a business owner to consider and go display my product or services on a marketplace? First, it's easy, it's fast to do because the marketplace has done it all for you. Second, you have access to millions of customers worldwide. And these customers, when they come to the marketplace, they already trust it, they already know it, and they come in a buying mode. So you have a higher chance of concluding a sale over the marketplace. You can definitely sell more and have higher visibility, because even if you have an online store and you have a very good SEO ranking, it's very difficult for you to have a higher SEO ranking than a very reputable marketplace. Put in your mind, for example, Amazon.com. Also, when you display your products on the marketplace, you have low startup costs. You need little upfront investment versus having to do your own e-commerce website. And also when it comes to the operations, like for instance, the shipping, the returns, the storage, all these costs are reduced when using a marketplace because they already actually offer you these services. And if you are selling internationally, it will remove the complexity of managing multiple currencies, looking at sales taxes in different countries and so on. So these are lots of advantages, but in the same time, there are challenges when you are on a marketplace, because actually a marketplace is very competitive, especially those that are very well known. And it's very difficult for you to gain visibility for your products and your services. So this is first. Second, sometimes you cannot get registered easily on these marketplaces because they may not accept you, or maybe they have compliance requirements that you don't apply or you don't meet. And also, assuming you have your own physical store, you have also your online store, you may be also listing on other marketplaces, it's somehow difficult for you as a business owner to manage several listings on different marketplaces. You need also to look at the reviews, you need to answer your customers through the marketplace, so you need to be present, you need to create content. And as we said, the competition is very harsh on marketplaces. That's why it's very important when you consider a given marketplace to understand its algorithm. What will help you actually to gain visibility for your products? What are the do's and don'ts of the marketplace?
Rhea, we have a question in the chat concerning the difference between marketplace and e-commerce website. So
Yes.
for the marketplace, should the seller be able to list the products and to update the information directly? Or
Absolutely.
the owner of
This
the
is why.
marketplace should do that?
Well, listen, it depends. Usually, when we talk about really a real marketplace, the vendor should be able to himself connect. And this is what I said earlier, and be able to create his login. And through that login, he will be managing his listing. He can update his prices, he can update his photos, the content, the inventory, and so on. Now, sometimes when you consider local marketplaces, especially those that are starting, like they are not very well known, you may have cases where the marketplace would prefer to manage its marketplace by its own, because the marketplace may have like a concern about sustaining a certain level of content. In that case, you would supply the marketplace with your content, and they would do the data entry and the management of your mini site on your behalf. But usually, a real definition of a real marketplace is when the vendor has access to his online mini store, if I may say, on the marketplace.
Okay. So now we need to talk about the international marketplaces, since we are mentioning the regional marketplaces. So can you please tell us more about the international B2B and B2C marketplaces that we can consider for our business, and how to register, what is the cost, and as well, we have in the chat question about the shipping fees, how to do the calculation, because you know, once we have cross-border e-commerce, we have a lot of fees to be paid, sometimes by marketplace, sometimes by the seller. So can you please tell us more details about the cross-border e-commerce, about the international marketplaces, what is the difference, how to be ready to go online internationally?
You can still see my screen, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So let me show you here some of the most well-known marketplaces. For you to know, there are over 400 B2C online marketplaces in the world, and there is a growing number of B2B giants as well. If you look at this slide,
most times.
Sorry. Yes. So can you hear me?
Yes, Rhea.
Okay. So here, as you can see on the slide, the top e-marketplaces for B2C are Etsy, if you've heard of, Amazon, eBay, Frugo. And on this slide, you can also see other marketplaces that are still international, but also regional, like Jumia in Africa, Mercado in South America, Flipkart, for instance, in India, Cdiscount in Europe, and so on. And here I show you the top international B2B marketplaces. One of them is TradeKey. Others that you may heard of are Alibaba and IndiaMart, Trade India, Europages, Amazon Business, and so on. So these are more the B2B marketplaces. And as we said at the beginning, Elvira, there are marketplaces where you actually sell your services. Think about Airbnb, think about Uber. These marketplaces also put in contact sellers and buyers, but here they are selling their services. Now, how would you be able to register on a marketplace? Actually, usually on most marketplaces, you can do it through the platform itself. If you go down at the bottom of their page, you may see a link that says become a seller. And then you click there and they ask you for some questions. You may need to upload some information. And if you don't find such a link on the marketplace, you can register by simply sending an email to their email contact where you will present yourself, you present your business, you attach your product photos. It's also good to attach your company content, show your process. If you have a video, if you can show your team, the founder. You can add links to your websites if you already have a website, if you have social media links. It's very useful to show the marketplace what are your content actually, what is your content. And most importantly, to explain your interest in joining the marketplace and how you actually see that your products fit into that marketplace. Now, when you send an email, there is a chance that your email goes to the junk. So it's also very good to follow up after like 10 days or 2 weeks with a follow-up email to see if your email actually reached out to the marketplace. Now, you also asked me about the cost of selling on a marketplace. Definitely, there is a cost for selling on a marketplace. As I said before, it's cheaper than having to do your own e-commerce website, but still there are costs you need to consider. For example, and it actually varies between marketplaces. You may need to pay joining fees in some cases. You may need to pay membership fees. It can be monthly or annual. In some marketplaces, like Etsy, for instance, you have fixed listing fees. Like for instance, for every product you want to list or for every service, you may need to pay a certain amount. And also when a transaction happens on the marketplace would contract a commission, which we call the transaction commission. It averages on average 15%, but it can be higher or lower depending on the marketplaces. And also on a marketplace, as we said, you are accepting a payment. So this payment will have a fee. It can be a fixed fee and also a transactional fee, depending on the amount of the transaction. When you are doing cross-country and new currency, international currency transactions, you may need to pay your currency conversion fees. It can be fixed or also variable depending on the transaction amount. And most importantly, as we said before, given the fact that a marketplace is very competitive, you need to account for a marketing budget. So you may need to pay for on-site promotions on the marketplace itself, for pay-per-click or promotional ads for your store. You may also need to do some discount or promotional campaigns during events like Black Friday or other events that the marketplace would be promoting for. And given the fact that there are costs when considering e-marketplaces, it's very important for you to consider your margins, especially if you are actually listing on international marketplaces where you will need to have international shipping costs incurred in your transactions. So if today you are selling through your e-com or through your marketplace, any other local marketplace, you would be pricing for a certain price. But when you want to go into international marketplaces, you may need to add some costs for the translation. You may need to have a multilingual customer support to provide, and that will add to your costs. Also, sometimes they may ask you for specific label in a specific language. You may need to comply with certification requirements, and this may incur additional costs to your operations. Definitely, there are sales tax, there are tariffs for cross-border. Sometimes also you may incur costs related to currency fluctuations, to exchange rate between currencies and conversion rates, and international delivery. And now more than ever, it's increasing in their costs. So you will need to add this to your margins. You need to consider whether you can afford your international returns. Can you do international free shipping or not? And if you do, would you account for that in your margin? And would you be able to do international free returns? And maybe you need also to look into your packaging, because today your product will be traveling across the border. All these costs will actually add to your margin. So you may need to reconsider your end price. So if you're, for example, today selling your product at $10 in your local market, it's not weird and it's not wrong to price it at maybe, let's say, $15 US dollars for an international marketplace, because you will need to actually account to all these costs. So usually it is recommended to have one common price all over your channels, but it's okay if you have higher prices in certain cases when you are going into international trade and e-marketplaces. I hope I answered your questions, Elvira.
Yes, actually, yes. We had a demand for the B2B slide. If we can come back to the B2B slide as well.
Yes, sure. This is it. You can take a screenshot if you wish.
Rhea, we have another question concerning the shipping calculation. How to do the shipping calculation, how to estimate the cost. Should we contact directly our provider, logistics provider like DHL, Aramex? Should we work with a couple of providers? How to do it? How to have this good estimation? And another question, what is the best formula based on your experience on how to do the calculation, the margins, the calculation of the final price? So if you have this already, it would be great to share your experience because you're already doing that. So maybe you can say not less than 10% or maybe 15%. So can you please share some of details on how to do it? Because I think all of us, we need to know more about how to do our pricing and how to have some good profit from marketplaces. Especially that we know that we have fees to be paid. And sometimes they are very high, so we are not able to be maybe competitive with other sellers. So if you can tell us more about that, that would be great.
Yes, sure. So let me answer your first question about international shipping. Usually when you are dealing with international marketplaces, they would do the calculation on your behalf. So when you are on the back end and you enter your product details concerning the weight of your item and the dimensions of your product, usually those international marketplaces would do the calculation on your behalf, and you would know in advance what would the product cost you to actually ship it to another country. And when you see these values, you can know first what is the amount in question, and then you can account for it in your margins. You may decide to include your shipping price inside your pricing and allow and offer free shipping if the marketplace has this kind of flexibility. It depends on the marketplaces. Or you may say, I will keep my prices and I will add the international shipping cost to the price at checkout. And this will also be available through the marketplace itself. So this when it comes to the international shipping. Now, there are some marketplaces where you may want to actually ship and send them a bulk order, and they would be doing the retail on your behalf. So it all depends on the marketplaces. In that case, if you are shipping a bulk and then the marketplace would do the retail, the retail commerce on your behalf, then you may need also to consider providers that you have in your local country. These would be international providers, but you may want to get quotes from your local providers, in which case you may have better deals than having to every time send or pay international shipping for every single order. So this is when it comes to the international shipping cost, okay? Now, how would is there a formula? Actually, there is no one formula or one percentage that would give you the end price that you want to price, because it will also depend on your product. Assuming today you are selling jewelry items are usually, let's say, higher price than, let's say, regular toy. So here in a jewelry market, your shipping cost may be minimal compared to your end price. Whereas if you are selling a toy that is less priced, your shipping cost will be considerable and will represent a higher percentage of your final price. So it is very much dependent on the nature of your product. Now it's good to I think I have some internet issues. Can you still hear me now?
Yes, Rhea.
Oh, okay. So I was saying that the ITC, the International Trade Center, has a tool that is called, I think it's called the cost calculator.
Yes,
I will try to share it, or maybe Elvira, you can share it.
I will share now, yes.
Okay, great. So this tool will actually help you to select the marketplace that you are considering. For instance, it can be Etsy or Amazon. And then you would go inside that tool and you would simulate, you can put your price, you can put your costs, your average cost, and the calculator will give you an estimation of the final price that is recommended to be displayed on that marketplace. So I highly encourage you to use that tool. It will help you to at least figure out what kind of pricing you can do. So yes.
Rhea, we have another question concerning the difference between B2B and B2C. So
yes.
So what is the difference, and should we consider a marketplace that are operating for both B2B or B2C, or it is better to select one marketplace for B2B and another one for B2C? And another question related to that, what are the commissions? There are differences between B2C and B2B as commissions, or it depends on the marketplace and the policy of the marketplace?
Okay, so you may have heard Alibaba, which is a B2B e-marketplace, and you may have also heard about AliExpress.com. Alibaba and AliExpress are both e-marketplaces held by the same entity, which is Alibaba, okay? Alibaba is a B2B e-marketplace, meaning that if I want to do business as a business, if I register on Alibaba, I will be able to sell my products to other businesses. And here, usually you have a minimum order quantity. You can't be selling with like one or two entities. You need to sell maybe a 100 item and above. Sometimes it can be 1,000 items and above. And this is why these are called B2B e-marketplaces. So these are business-to-business e-marketplaces. It's like a wholesale. If you want to consider it in your physical life, okay, not online life. Now, B2C is Amazon.com, is AliExpress.com. All these examples here are B2C, meaning business to consumer. And B2C is where you can, as a customer, go and buy one item. And you, as a seller, you will be selling that item to that end customer. So you're selling to an end customer. Etsy is also an example of such marketplaces. You will have your own mini website, you will have all your products listed there, and you will be selling to one customer. And that customer can give you reviews, can send you messages, comments, can rate you, and so on. So this is to differentiate between what is a B2C and what is a B2B. And usually, yes, the margins may differ when you are dealing with B2B or B2C, because on the B2B, you are more working on wholesale, higher margins. On B2C, you're more working on retail. So these could be lower margins, okay? Now, when it comes to the commission, whether it is for a B2C or a B2B, it all depends on the marketplace you are considering. And it also usually depends on the product category that you're selling. If you go on Amazon, in their footer, you would see their tariff rates for their commissions. And you would see that they can be as low as 2 or 3 or 5% and as high as 15 or 20%. So it will also depend on the category of the product that you are selling. For instance, usually electronics would go into the lower margins of commissions. And all such information, you should be able to find them on the marketplace you are considering. Look at their footer, look at their frequently asked questions, look at their help, and you will be able to find such information.
Rhea, we have another question, and I think most of the SMEs usually think about it. What about the warehouse and fulfillment center? For example, sometimes some marketplaces, they are located in a different location and they don't have the capacity to store a lot of items and products. So in this case, what will be the best solution for the SME? To have this big shipment to the location, or to work with the fulfillment center, or to have a space in a warehouse, shared warehouse. So what do you think is the best solution, or maybe in your opinion, maybe the most optimum solution for SMEs?
Well, here, Elvira, it depends on the volume you are considering. When you start, you are testing the market. You don't really know what would be the demand, what would be the volume. So you would mainly start with one order at a time. You keep your stock in your local country, and then you would account for international shipping until you test the market and see. If you see that there is a traction for your products, then it would be useful to consider fulfillment centers in the remote area, if applicable. Like if the marketplace has such functionality and such a service, then definitely you can use it. And if they don't, and you may know someone in that location, you can use that person that you know as a hub for you to place your items, and from there to be able to serve the destination market faster. And also, there are in the market fulfillment centers, even if they're not related to the marketplace itself, but there are services that shipping agencies offer related to fulfillment centers. Now, assuming you tested the market and you got a substantial number of orders, and now you want to try to reduce the international shipping costs, the best solution for you would be to put your products in the remote area so you can be faster shipping to your end customer and reducing your international costs. And here you can look at fulfillment services that are provided by international shipping companies like Aramex or the Net or other companies. In case this applies in case your marketplace doesn't offer such kind of services.
Thank you.
Not all marketplaces have services. No worries.
So thank you, Rhea, for sharing all these details. I think it's great to have all these details because everyone is looking for more information, especially for the international virtual marketplaces. So we had a question about the blacklisted account on marketplace. So I think now we are we come to the most exciting section in our session today. And I am so excited to know more about your tips and advices for SMEs. For example, yes, sure. To avoid to be blacklisted, to have a good seller account, to have good product descriptions and content. So please share with us your experience, because I know that you have a lot of experience in the domain, and you know, knowing these details from someone working in the domain, it is good to avoid our own mistakes and to have a better seller account. Yes.
Yes, sure. Let me tell you about my first experience before we go into the tips. I once created a seller account on Etsy platform. And we were 2 people in the team, and we listed all the content, all the images, and we wrote all the product description and so on. And we had nice images, nice header and all that. And we said, okay, now let's test it before we start marketing for it. And the idea that we had back then was actually for my partner to do the transaction on Etsy store using her own bank account. So she used her own credit card, which was linked to the same bank account that was linked to our mini store on Etsy. It took us like 24 hours to get our store closed, and we couldn't access anymore any content, any image, anything. And back then we didn't have the experience, so we didn't have like a backup for the content. So we had to do it all again. And it was really, really very frustrating for us. So this is why I would like to share with you some tips and advices in this regard, so you don't do that mistake yourself. So first, as I said before, being on a marketplace is very competitive. So it's not enough today to have the best product and the best description and be on the best marketplace. You actually need to market for your products. You need to market for your service. You need to account for a marketing budget in order to drive traffic to your mini site. We call it the mini site on the marketplace. And always, it's advisable to start local, start your operations locally, learn from your mistakes in your domestic market, because this is where the cost of your mistakes will be lower. And then once you master the process, you know it, you are at ease, you can consider going to regional or international marketplaces. And in that case, you would always be having like kind of mistakes, but these mistakes won't cost you as much. So this is my second advice to you. Also, when you reach out to a marketplace, it's very important to read their terms and conditions, to understand how they function, what are their do's, what are their don'ts, so you comply with their requirements. Also try to understand how does the payment work. They usually write everything. Try to understand how does the logistic part work. Will I be covering the cost? Will they be covering a certain fee? What are the services that they are offering as free services, and which are those services that I have to pay for? And definitely, you need to have a great content. You need to have a great product description, great images. You need to look at your titles, make sure that your titles have the keyword that you need to be able to rank higher on their search engines. You need also to add your company content, show yourself as a founder, show your process in a video if the marketplace has such a field where you can display a video. Also, when you reach out to a marketplace, you need to document your agreement in case the marketplace doesn't already have these terms and conditions embedded in their sites. And this usually applies to local marketplaces. You may have to work with a local marketplace who doesn't actually have written such terms and conditions. So do it yourself, document your agreement so you can know what are the rules of this relationship and collaboration. And as we said, it's very important to understand your costs, because this is where you will need to account for your margins and make sure that you're selling for a positive outcome, not a negative outcome. And try to understand what you will have to cover yourself in terms of expenses. And definitely understand your pricing, look at your competitors on the marketplace, try to see if your end price competes with them, and if not, do your best to be the closest possible so you can compete on the price as well. So as I said before, don't be afraid if you had to sell for a higher price in an international marketplace than your local market, because you may need to account for these costs. Also, if you are today having your physical store and maybe your e-commerce store and maybe dealing with several marketplaces, it will be very hectic sometimes to deal with all such inventories and such listings. So I advise you also to have a kind of an Excel listing or a Google Sheet listing where you can update your price and stock in a regular manner, and you can share it with the marketplaces and the channels that you sell to easily. You can, for example, create a contact list on your email where you have all the emails of the people you need to send such an update to. Also, when you reach out to a marketplace, especially if it's not one of these very well-known marketplaces, try to ask about their team, look at their founders, their reputation, look at their social media networks, reviews, because it's not enough actually to follow your gut. You need to do your research. And you can also test the marketplace. You can buy a product, see how they do in terms of customer service, how much responsive they are, and be very doubtful. If you are working with a local marketplace, be very doubtful when they are over-promising. Because if the marketplace is newly starting in the market, they can't promise you like huge sales, especially when you are actually also starting from scratch, because you need time to build your audience and to build your customer base. So these are the tips and advices that I would like to share with you, and I'm ready for any questions you may have as well.
Thank you, Rhea. Thanks a lot for the presentation. I think it's very informative. So now we will have a small poll, and please unmute yourself and ask Rhea directly your questions. So we will be able to reply to all your concerns, all your questions today. If you already have any challenges, maybe we can support you with that. So feel free to unmute and ask directly.
Hi, I'm Liliana, and thank you for all the presentation. It was really good with all the insights. And I have one question for you. In the case of people that are, well, we have the European Union, right? We have Switzerland. I'm based in Switzerland. And then you have the European Union. Do you know for, they call it micro entrepreneur or individual physical people to have, because precisely one of the problems for entering in this marketplace is that Switzerland, for example, is not part of the EU. Or for example, Africa will not be part of that. So, and then you need to comply with all this information that you said before. In the case of us, we need to have like a TVA, like intercommunitaire number. Do you have any information of this, of how a physical person or mini companies could be able to have this or access to this?
Well, I actually don't have a direct answer to your question, especially for Switzerland. But from what I know, and Elvira can help here, the International Trade Center has a tool which is called the Market Access Map. And in this tool, you can enter the market that you're looking to enter, and you can put your HS code, and then the tool will give you all the requirements that are needed for you to comply with the requirements of a given country or a market. I will try to share the link of that tool also on the chat. Okay, Elvira. So please try to explore this tool. And if you have any questions afterwards, please reach out to us. I will also leave my email on the chat, and we'll be happy to help you if we can help you further in that.
Super, thank you very much.
Sure.
I have a question about shipping. Can I ask?
Sure.
Yeah, so you have a shipping rate calculator over there. So can we follow that completely, or we should just leave aside? Because I have a global website and I have an Indian website separately. And because of the shipping confusion, I have not listed prices on my global website.
So here you are asking about your own website, not about the marketplace, right?
Oh yeah, about the marketplaces, I know, I'm aware, I'm listing there as well. Now, about my own website, do you have any suggestions? How do I correct this?
Usually, what is advisable to do is to contact your shipping third-party provider, and they will be able to give you a full pricing based on the weight of your product and also the dimension of the product that you're sending. And they usually provide you quotation by destination. And
Right.
The best way to do it when you are considering an e-commerce website is to, once you have settled for a shipping provider, to do an integration in the backend of your platform or your website with the shipping agent. This way, when a customer places an order, the system will automatically go and get the latest prices from your shipping agent, and you won't have to update it regularly manually. This is very much advisable. If you can afford paying for such an integration, you do it once, and once it's done, you are settled for any price update, and it will actually be done for any destination country.
Right. So we can do for few products, right? Because we cannot sell all the products in all the countries because they have regulations, like skincare products have regulations. So we cannot sell that in all the countries where we are not registered. So especially where they require registrations, and some products can be sent. So, the documentation requirements and everything will be separate for each product line. So we need to integrate all that as well. So it's a little complicated when it comes to
it is
international
complicated.
Yeah.
When you are actually having a kind of two stocks, one for your local market and one for your international market, what is also something that you can consider is to have two domains or two subdomains. And then in your first subdomain, you will keep it for your local market where you are compliant and you know your prices and you know your costs. And you would display on the other subdomain, let's say your international domain, only the products for which you know that you have the requirement, you meet the requirements. And this way you don't confuse your end customers. This is very much advisable if definitely you have a certain pipeline of products, a certain number of products that is substantial to be displayed on your website.
Right. Sure.
But once you're compliant, if your products are all compliant, when it comes to shipping, yes, you can ship two different products using the same shipping agent, and the system in the back end will calculate it for each product depending on the weight and the dimension of your products.
Right. So we'll have to do some programming on for these countries. These products we can send. For these products, it's B2B. For some products, it can be B2C, depending on where we are present.
Yes, sure. When it comes to B2B, you can also do it like if you have your B2C and your online. If you have a B2B business, you can consider doing it offline as well, unless you are displaying a B2B marketplace, to avoid complexity of having to manage different sites and different integrations and developments.
Rhea, I added to the chat the export potential tool. So I think it will be useful as well to check the tool, because you will explore for each market what are the potential products. So I think you can start from here to do the market research, to know for each country what are the potential products, so that you can select your products for each country, for example, for Europe, for Africa, for South Asia. So you will know if there is a demand or not. So I recommend everyone to look into ITC tools, the Explorer and the market, because you will have a lot of information related to the potential markets, to the demand of your products, Even you will know more about the export potential. So
Right.
maybe starting by doing your market research and your buyer persona will be a good start. Then you can look into the potential markets with the minimum shipping cost, with the taxation, the customs from your country. So we always recommend the SMEs to start with the market research and to define the buyer persona, to have the e-commerce strategy, and after that to go to the international market, because it's not easy, and sometimes we need to do a good study before investing money.
Absolutely. I'm also sharing on the chat some other tools that you can explore. The last one is also provided by the International Trade Center. And there is also a tool provided by Google, which is called the Market Finder.
Actually, we had as well a tool shared by one of the SMEs. So I will share publicly as well. It's about the taxation and taxes, how to calculate duties and taxes. I think it's important to discover as well. So it's a new tool even for us. Thank you for sharing. I think we have a question from Lamia. Lamia, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, sure. Hi, how are you?
Hello,
Hi, Lamia.
Okay, question. It's a bit probably not straight to the point, but if someone is interested in creating a marketplace himself or herself, any advice for this?
Actually, Lamia, you have the right person because Rhea, she created her business from scratch. Being in the finance sector, she decided to go online, and actually she did her website. She learned how to do coding. She did her research, and now she has a very good platform, mature platform. So I think Rhea will be the best person to share how to start an e-commerce business and how to build the
marketplace,
e-commerce and marketplace, e-commerce website and marketplace, both of them.
Perfect.
But she started with e-commerce website, and later on she had integration, and she transformed her business to a full marketplace. So I think Rhea will be the best person to talk about that.
Yeah, sure. So Lamia, here it depends. Thank you, Elvira, for the notes. It actually depends. If you want to do an e-commerce website, not an e-marketplace, I would advise you to start with ready-made platforms like Shopify. These are very easy to use. You can consider WooCommerce, which is very cheap to start with and very reliable in the same time. So doing your own e-commerce, it's much easier than doing an e-marketplace, because when you consider an e-marketplace, you are adding complexity in terms of functionalities. You want to allow several vendors to be able to connect to your site and have a kind of a backend entry and be able to manage their sites and so on. So it's much more complex at this level. But when it comes to the integrations with your logistics partners or your payment partners, these are quite the same. Now, there are also some ready-made, they are not ready-made. You need actually to do the IT work behind it. But for instance, at WooCommerce, you have like an add-on for a marketplace that you can do using WooCommerce. But if you want to start, if you're starting from scratch and you're not sure if you really need an e-marketplace, you can start by testing using a very simple minimal viable product with a regular e-commerce, and then later on you can add on and improve it to have this multi-vendor platform.
Okay, I see.
Thank
you.
Pauline?
Yeah, I have a question, and it's sort of a follow-up from a question I asked earlier. So I'm asking this question on the perspective of I run a marketplace myself, and I'm looking for like guiding points on the kind of transaction commissions that I should charge. So currently I just have a blanket charge of 10%, but then it normally goes higher as the price of the commodity goes higher or the order value goes higher. But I've gotten some feedback that sellers who are selling more cannot be charged bigger commissions than sellers who are selling less. So I'm just thinking of changing that whole strategy, and I'm looking for what are the strategies I need to use to come up with new commission transactions. Yeah.
Pauline, what's the market that you're selling to? Where are you based now?
I'm based in Nairobi, Kenya.
Okay. Did you try to look at similar products being sold in your market?
So what are similar marketplaces? That's what you mean?
Yes, similar marketplaces.
Yeah, so what I've seen with most marketplaces is that they charge based on categories, like you'd mentioned for Amazon. So I think items, so like what we have here in Africa mostly is Jumia. So a lot of categories that are fast moving and can be easily resold are normally charged a higher commission. And then less slow moving goods, bulky items tend to be charged low commissions. So that's one of the strategies that I've noticed that people are using. Yes.
Yes, I think it's a very good approach to look at similar businesses in your market and try to replicate and see if you can be competitive. Now, as you said, it depends on the categories of products you are selling. The commission may differ between different categories, and sometimes it may also differ on the volume. Like if you are able to have a higher volume of transaction, you may consider a lower commission with your vendors. And also the vendor itself, sometimes he would give you the margin he can accept. Here, for instance, in Lebanon, the commissions most of the time are set by the vendors themselves because they know their margin, they know how much they can afford. And usually these commissions that happen online are quite or very close to the commission that happen offline, I mean in a bricks and mortar store. So try also to see in your market what could be the commissions offline, and this will give you an idea for what could be the online.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Most importantly, your end price to your customer should remain competitive. Whatever the commission you have, make sure that you do a market study to have a final price that remains competitive compared to your competitors.
All right. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Any other questions?
I think we have a question in the chat that says, is there a space in ecomConnect which we can talk and find business opportunities with other attendees? Maybe Elvira, you want to answer this one?
Yeah, actually we have a section under Connect. So I will share here.
Actually,
collaborations. Yes.
ecomConnect is made for collaboration. And the purpose of the platform is to put businesses and SMEs and entrepreneurs together and gather them around topics that are of interest and useful for them.
Yeah, actually,
so you're in the right place.
Exactly. And if you have any questions, you can reach to Rhea by email or to me directly in the platform so that we can reply to your specific questions as well. So try to have this networking, this communication within the ecomConnect. You don't know how many SMEs we have who are looking for potential collaborations, who are looking for partnerships and other SMEs to share expertise and challenges. So we recommend everyone to start engaging on the platform. Yes, Preeti?
Any question?
Sorry. Yeah, my question is regarding this facility whereby you can track the source of this. ITC had this tool whereby you could track the source of the supplies. Say somebody wants to know where is the tea coming from. So is it a blockchain driven platform, what you have currently on ITC website?
I'm not sure what you're looking for. Are you looking for a traceability, you mean, for the
Yes,
product?
yes, you're right. Correct. Yes. So we
I
have to
don't-
be listed for that, or how do we do that?
I don't recall I have seen a full traceability, but in one of our tools, and correct me, Elvira, please, if I'm wrong, you can see a list of distributors and dealers in a given market. And if you wish,
Right.
I'm not sure I understood your question, but if you wish to get displayed there, I think you can send an email to Elvira and it will be taken from there. I'm not sure about the process, Elvira, here. There are
Yeah,
surely
sure. I'll check
requirements.
this out.
There are surely requirements to get listed.
Yeah,
Sure,
actually,
sure.
I think it's one of the tools, but we have the list of providers and the list of activities, so you can check them. We have the export potential, and we have the market research.
Right.
Both of them, you can find information about specific products. And if you have any additional questions, you can send me a message on ecomConnect, so we can get more details and go specifically to your needs.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Any other questions?